Good morning, good morning. This is Jacqueline Richardson. It's JJ Diamond, Jackie, Deja. We have a beautiful day here in Charlotte, but it's not so beautiful on the other side right now. And I just want to send out my prayers to Louisiana, to Texas, and anything in its path of Laura. I know I've been in several hurricanes, so I know what the feeling is, and anticipation of a storm coming and not knowing what it's going to do. So I send my prayers over there, and I also thank God for the storm missing Cuba. I did see on the satellite that the storm was close to Cuba, and that's where my family is from. However, it didn't look like it did too much damage because they would have put it on the news. Hopefully we would get some feedback today on the islands out there. But based on the satellite, it looked like it just was getting like the winds and some rains from Laura. So I had prayed on that as well, because that's where my ancestors are, from my grandpa's side. So, I have to continue to show love for them, even though I don't know them. I haven't been to Cuba. I do. That's one of the things I do want to do in the future is go over there and see how my grandpa lived when he lived in Cuba. So, and my grandma and my grandpa met in Florida and got married and moved to New York. So that's how that all took place. But today, I wanted to talk about all of the pets. Yesterday was National Dog Day, and, I'm one person that loves animals. I've been taking pictures and showing y'all pictures of different animals here in Charlotte, and I've seen so many different animals. The only thing I haven't seen in Charlotte yet is a kangaroo. I did see a kangaroo in Maryland, but I didn't see one here yet. Of course, I see deers, different type of birds, and it's just so amazing. The nature is so amazing. But I wanted to tell you about the characters of our life in New York. When I say characters, most of our dogs had a character. Dogs and cats had a character that you would not believe, and people treated them, my friends would come by and they would treat them like they were one of the family, because if they didn't, they would make sure that they're known. So first I'm going to talk about Boogaloo. Boogaloo lived in our house at 371 East 153rd Street. And Boogaloo was a German Shepherd. Boogaloo, he really didn't have too much character. He was just a real laid-back dog, until somebody tried to come up in that door. Then that's where the problem set. He always laid down and waited for the drama to come to him. Boogaloo wasn't the average size German Shepherd. He was a little bit bigger than the German Shepherds I see today. His head was just so big, and when he would sit on the steps, and my friends, they could tell you, he would sit on the steps and lay his head on the steps, and his head would fit 2 steps down. So when they open up my door to come upstairs, all they see is this big head of a dog, and he'd just look up and sniff, and if he didn't feel you was right, he'd start barking. If he knew who you was, you can come up the steps. So that was Boogaloo. But he was just so big, and at first I thought it was because I was little, but no, he wasn't the average size, and I think that's because my aunt was feeding him all his food. He had such a big head. But Boogaloo, he wound up passing away. He had cancer in his legs as the time went on, and I know people was wondering what happened to Boogaloo. He was starting to drag his hind legs, and took him to the doctor, and that's when they told us that he had cancer, so it was time to put him down. And it's crazy because my uncle and my aunt, and my other aunt, they all died from cancer, including my mother too. That's what happened to Boogaloo. But now, we're going to talk about Bootsy. No, not Bootsy yet. Oh, I told you about the Alaskan Husky yesterday. He got stolen, so he was next up. Now it's Bootsy. Well, I had moved to Katona Avenue. And, living in apartments, I had never lived in an apartment before. I always lived in a house. I did live in an apartment when I lived in Harlem. But when in the Bronx, I always lived in a house. So it was different for me to have my own apartment. And I was on 183rd Street. What was the name of the street, Lord? I forgot the name of the street. But it was right up there by the Bronx Zoo. Well, anyway, my friend, God bless her soul, she had brought me a kitten. She said, you're going to need a cat because you live in a building. So I said, okay, whatever. So she brought me the cat. Okay, little thing. It was pink when she brought it to me. She said, this cat, the mother doesn't want to feed it, so I brought it to you. I said, oh, that's mean. I said, these cats is just mean. What happened? I said, did somebody touch her? So she couldn't tell me, like, the details or whatever the case. But, she gave me the cat, and he didn't have no hair. He was pink, like fresh out of the box. I don't think he was a day old. So I was feeding him with a dropper, pretty much nursing him because his mother wouldn't nurse him. Well, when he actually got up and started walking, and I had brought some brand new carpet. I mean, it was brand new burgundy carpet I had bought. And he started walking around the house, and he pooped on my carpet. And I was so upset. So I took him and he was too little to get into a cat box, that litter. I was afraid because he was freshly born. Normally they don't take them away from their parents until about 5-6 weeks. So it was like, oh gosh, I don't want to put him in his litter and then something happened to him. So I was so upset. So I took my finger and popped his little booty. And when I popped his little booty, he looked at me. He didn't cry, but he looked at me, and I said, no. And never had a problem out of him again. I took some paper. I didn't do the litter. I took some paper and put him in the little box, and then he learned how to use the bathroom. But as Bootsy got older, I had Bootsy for many, many years. Bootsy moved with me from that house back to 371 and to Buffalo. Bootsy was a more laid-back cat. He did his job, and when I say he did his job, if there was mice around, he was going to catch it, but he wanted his rewards. So I always rewarded him when he did good deeds, and he got used to that. And one day he didn't do no good deed, and he still wanted rewards. And I'll never forget, I just came from work. That's when I was doing home health aid. I had just came from work, came in, I was trying to make me a sandwich. I was hungry. So I opened up me some tuna fish and ready to make me some tuna fish sandwich. And he smelt it, and he came and looked. And he was meowing at me, and I'm like, what you meowing at? You ain't getting no tuna fish. You ain't did no good deed. And I turned back around to finish making my sandwich, and he bit me in my butt. And that was the most painful thing. I was like, this damn cat. He used to me giving him tuna fish because he did a good deed. And now he just want to take tuna fish. And I didn't give it to him, so he bit me. And I was so upset. That's when his character started coming out. He demanded tuna fish. So I gave him tuna fish because I didn't want him to bite me no more. And I needed him. So, because he was, like I said, he was the type. If a mice came in your house, he caught that mice ASAP. So he was always on the job, and I loved it. Then I went down to the meat market one day, and I saw this cat. It was all gray with gray eyes, and I thought he was the cutest little thing. I was like, oh, he is so cute. So the meat market man said, the owner, he said, you want him? I said, why? I said, I thought y'all need him to keep the mice and stuff out of the meat market. He said, he bad. I said, is he? I said, he don't look bad. He was just walking around like he was ruling things. So I said, is he going to let me pick him up? He said, he should. So I patted him and everything, and I picked him up. So I said, okay, Bootsy need a friend. So I said, okay, and they both gray, but he was like a dark gray. That's why we called him Smokey, because he had that like smoke gray look. Well, Smokey wanted to do his own thing, okay? And I tell y'all, when I tell y'all this story, y'all gonna say, this can't be true, but it is what I'm telling you. My daughter can tell you, a couple of my friends can tell you, Smokey was a doozy, okay? Now, we let Smokey come on in, and Bootsy, he was like, who's this strange cat? So Bootsy always stayed in the cut just watching him, because he didn't fight Bootsy, but he would continue to, try to take over. So one day here, I come in from work again, and me and my daughter, and all these cats, I had left the window open in the back. And, it was a spring day. So, we left the window open to air the house out. We will always open the front and the front windows and the back windows just to have the air flow through to clean, the air in the house. Well, why did I leave that window open? I come in. There's all these cats in my house. About 6 cats in my house. They're sitting on the floor in my daughter's room, and Smokey is in the windowsill like he's running things, okay, like he's talking to them or whatever the case may be. I wish camera phones was out back then, because I sure would have had a lot of likes with that one on Facebook or Instagram. And Bootsy is in my room behind the door just looking. Like, what is he doing? And I said, Bootsy, why did you chase these cats out your house? So now he's starting to go walk towards the room, to scat them out. So now they're going out the window one by one. So I grabbed Smokey up, and I had to pop him for having the cats in my house. Now, we're talking about a cat, y'all. We're not talking about a kid, you come home and they having a party. We're talking about a cat in your house having a party while you at work, okay? Smokey was the type that never listened, okay? He never listened to you. Now, I open up the door, Smokey always want to be outside. So he go outside and do his business. I didn't have to worry about Cat Little with him, because he go outside and do his business. So he would go outside, I'll go to the door, and everybody used to laugh at me because I was standing at the door, Smokey! So I could feed him. Come on home so you can eat. And then you'll see him running up the street, and he come on upstairs and get his food. And I'm like, you're not going back outside. You better use that litter box, because I'm going to bed. So he had no other choice but to stay in. But then it was one night when I was pregnant with my son, Dejour. That's in A Heights. I let him out, and it was time for him to eat again. So I went to the door, and I'm screaming down the street, Smokey! Smokey! No Smokey coming. Smokey! And no Smokey coming. So now I tell my son's father, I'm like, I don't know where Smokey at, and Smokey is being bad again. I'm going to walk down the street and see if I see Smokey. So he said, okay. So I walked down the street, came back. He said, did you find him? I said, no Smokey. So I was tossing and turning in the bed, where's my cat, where's my cat? And I felt, even though he was bad, I fell in love with him because he had so much character, And they kept the house alive, and that's what animals do. They keep the house alive, and that's why I love animals so much. But, so I wake up the next morning, and this man said, because I was still screaming, Smokey. He said, are you looking for a cat? I said, yeah. He said, is he gray? I said, yeah. He said, well, he been hit over here. A car ran over him. And I said, what? He said, yeah, he's out here. So my son's father went and got him. And I got to go back to tell you about how Bootsy got killed as well. Smokey was like, his whole neck and his head was like, not dismantled, but it was crushed. And when my son's father went and got him, and I was pregnant, so when you're pregnant, you're more emotional. And when he went and got him, I just dropped to my knees when I saw him, And I was crying, and everybody from those that was home was coming outside like, "You all right?" I'm like, "No, Smokey got hurt," and they called the people to come pick him up, and it was like really bad for me, because I did fall in love with Smokey. Like I said, he had a lot of character. He brought character to the house, just us watching how he moved, it just hurt me so bad. Well, then I got to go back because I had a couple of dogs at 371, but I want to tell y'all about Bootsy. We moved to Buffalo, and Bootsy wanted to start acting like Smokey when we moved to Buffalo. And I didn't understand why. I don't know if he wanted his own domain or what he wanted to do, because Smokey was running the house and he watched him, So I guess Bootsy got his fear out, because Bootsy would never go outside. He would look out the window, but he would never go out there. Even when the cars came through the block, he would like flinch, That was my sheltered cat. But then he got some nerve as he got older. And when we went to Buffalo, he decided he wanted to go outside and go walk the block. So they used to call him the Jamaican drug dealer. I don't know why they gave him that name. Because he would go outside and walk the block. He would always go by the fire department, walk down that block, and go on about his business. I don't know what he was doing, where he was going, but that's what he would do. So when I go looking for him, I would have to go down there, and I met all the firemen, and I said, "Y'all seen a gray cat?" They said, "Yeah, he went on down there." So I met the firemen and would sit and talk with them until Bootsy would come on back down so I could snatch him up and bring him home. So Bootsy started getting this character in his old age. I just didn't understand it. Like, where's he getting all this from? And it was like he would just walk the block, and people would see him. He'd be all down on Kensington in Buffalo. And, people come to my house, and they'd be like, "Oh, I saw Bootsy." I said, "Why didn't you pick him up and bring him home? He was doing his own thing. Leave him alone." I'm like, I don't want nothing to happen to my cat. Well, Bootsy got into a couple of fights. He got into a fight with a skunk, came home stink. And, I was one that would bathe my cats in water. So when people tell me, "Oh, you can't bathe cats," it's a lie. They took baths. My cats took baths. I took him in there and gave him a bath, and I didn't know nothing about skunks. I'm a city girl, so I ain't know nothing about what skunks do, and how to get the smell off. So everybody's telling me, "Buy some tomato juice and put them in a tub." And I'm like, okay. So I went and got tomato juice, put them in a tub, and washed them down. So finally, he ain't stinking no more. I'm like, thank you, Jesus. I said, this country stuff ain't for him. Because I don't know if people know, but Buffalo is country. It's not like how a city would be. You know what I mean? So even though we talk about Buffalo, it is a city, but it has houses, trees, animals, just as well as down here. Or in the South. In other words, I would say it may be the hood, but it's suburban type look. So anyway, that was one incident. Well, Bootsy actually had 3 incidents, and I had to have a long talk with him, even though the 3rd incident, it took him out of here. So he went out again, had another fight. Half his face was missing. Okay, and he made it back home, though. So I was just so upset. My cat face, his face was all messed up. So I poured peroxide, and he was screaming. But I poured peroxide and put some ointment on him, and then made an appointment for the doctors. But he went up on the bed for about 3 days, and when he came out, he was okay. And he started to eat again. I guess he needed to rest from the pain and let the pain go away. I wanted to give him some Tylenol, but he wouldn't come out, and I was trying to get him to come out. So I said, let me just let him rest. So he recovered from that as well. I don't know what he had a fight with, Whatever it was messed him up. The third incident, I had a long talk with Bootsy. And I said, listen here, Bootsy, I don't want you leaving from this area. No more. You know? And I told him I had to talk to him like he was my kid. Don't you leave this area. You stay in this area. So he would go outside and just walk the parking lot. And this is where the third incident came in at. This guy was walking his pit bull. And this is what made me start disliking pit bulls. Before this happened to Bootsy, I had a pit bull in my house in the Bronx. But I'm going to go back and tell y'all about that. And I guess Bootsy wasn't scared because I had a pit bull before, you know. I had dogs in the house with Bootsy, so he wasn't afraid. But this particular dog snatched my cat up and shook him to death. That was the most hurtful time of my life. And I went in the house, and they kept telling the dude, like, yo, you need to leave because she's going to get a shotgun, you know. And that's what I did. I went in the house to get my shotgun. I might have been in jail. But unfortunately, I'm going to say, unfortunately for him, the dude left and left his dog. He left. So I didn't get in trouble for killing him because I would have over my cat. However, the dog wanted to hold on to Bootsy's body. So I was like, oh, hell no. Excuse my language. I was like, oh, no, you're going to let my cat go. And he refused to let my cat go. And I was just a mess, y'all. I was just so angry, okay, because of what he did to my cat. And then I told Bootsy to stay home, you know, and he listened to me. And that's what pissed me off even more, you know, because I used to let him roam. But after that last incident with his face and whatever he had a fight with, I told him stay in the area, and he was in the area, and this happened. And I was so mad that this particular guy did not control his animal, you know. And it wasn't. I can't say it was the pit bull's fault. I blame the owner because the dog should have been trained, and you don't just let animals eat on other animals when you can control them. And that was my biggest problem. And that's how I know that I probably would have killed him about my cat. I grieved over Bootsy for a long time, people, because I loved that cat. That cat, I got him when he was a little tiny baby. When he was pink, he didn't even have hair yet. You know, I didn't even have a name for him yet because he didn't even have hair. I used to call him the cat until he got his hair, and he had 4 white paws. And that's when I said I'm going to name him Bootsy. You know, so that was my journey with Bootsy. Bootsy was in my life for, I would say, maybe 10 years. Roughly. Because I moved out the house when I was 18. I moved to Florida, came back. That's when I got Bootsy. So maybe about 9 years I had Bootsy. And it really tore me up really, really bad inside. It's like losing a family member. So I understand where, you know, some people be saying, oh, they doing too much over their pet. No, it's like you're losing a family member, you know, because these animals gain character. They gain love for the household. They gain you within them, you know. So it hurts when you lose them, just like if you lost a family member, you know. And Bootsy's death was the worst for me. It took me a long time to recover from that. We got one more cat after that, and I didn't like it, so I got rid of it. But we're going to go back to New York now. And I'm going to tell y'all about this Bootsy. He was there when all of these things was going on. We had a basement. And things would sneak in the basement when we opened the door and we go in there. I had to sweep my sidewalk every other day. So I would open up the basement door and come out, sweep the sidewalk, and then put the stuff back. But cats and stuff would get down in there. And when the cats go in there, sometimes they be pregnant and it's warm, so they had their babies. And I don't know. I didn't know this cat from Adam. I didn't know this cat at all. Never been around this cat. Well, this cat started bringing its babies to my vestibule, okay? When we opened the door upstairs to come upstairs in the house, this cat was bringing each baby in my vestibule and sitting it there, wait until somebody opened up the door and then come on back out and sneak out while nobody knew, because the vestibule was dark. So we would come in the vestibule, and we had the upstairs and the downstairs. I lived downstairs, and my aunt lived upstairs. When you open up the vestibule door, it's dark. So we're not used to anything being in the vestibule, but the cat would be. So when you open the door, the cat would come out. If you go in the basement, the cat would go, and we would do laundry down there as well. So the cat was going down with us to get the laundry, grab a cat, follow us upstairs, and we never paid any attention to this stuff. This is why it was so unreal. And was bringing her kittens in my house, in my vestibule. So my aunt came in from work, and she kept hearing the little kittens, because they're so little, so they don't meow. They just, she kept hearing that noise. So she turned on the light, because she ain't used to that, you know what I mean? And she looked down, and it was 4 kittens in the vestibule. And she knocked on my door, and she said, "Jackie, did you know it was kittens out here?" And when she said that, and she opened up the door and looked, the cat was coming up the stairs with one more baby. And she said, "You about to have an adoption center going on here, because this cat is giving you her babies." And I said, "What?" So I couldn't process it all. So I went and got a box, and I put the babies in the box, and I said, "They need to eat." I went through the process with Bootsy, and Bootsy coming over there smelling them and looking like, "What is this?" But she had 6 babies, because I wound up going down to the basement to see if there was any more. And I brought the babies upstairs, and I guess I just let her go, because we couldn't take her, and she was a stray cat, so we don't know what she got or what's going on. She just wanted somebody to take care of her babies, and she gave her babies to me. And this is a true story, people. Some of my friends on Cortland can tell y'all this story if they remember. This is a true story. I mean, it's something like out of a movie, but it's a true story where this cat physically gave me all her babies. So I took care of them and started calling people on the block. "You need a cat? You need a cat? We got to get rid of all these cats. I can't be the cat woman, okay, on the block, because I got all these cats." And people was laughing at me. They was like, "You going to be the cat woman?" Because the cat gave me her babies, So animals even know when there's love of the animals around, and they know that you're going to take care of them, And she just disappeared. She went on about her life, After she gave her babies away, she wanted to make sure that they got a home, and she put her work in, And it's so amazing how these animals do. And this is why I love animals. And y'all know now, I'm allergic to animals and cats too. And I've always had my allergy issues. Always had my allergy issues going on, but it didn't matter. I would pop some pills, and what do you need to talk? I'm on the podcast. I'm live. She wants me to come. This is Egypt interrupting my podcast. I'm only at the cats. I still got to get to the dogs.
So, this is Monday's work, right?
Okay, in the midst of this, y'all can listen to this. I'm in Egypt is homeschooled, for those that didn't know, and I'm her learning coach, so I'm always here to help her with this homeschooling. She's in K-12. She's been in K-12 for over 3 years, and I've been referring a lot of people to this homeschool, because a lot of people are having problems with the homeschool that they're doing since they had the coronavirus going on. But go ahead, Egypt.
So, remember when you said I didn't do the work? I did 2 of them, and I just have one more to do, and it's just a one, so it's not like it's a test.
Okay, you interrupted my podcast to tell me that?
Yeah, so important.
You could have waited.
Okay. I'll do it right now.
Okay, thank you. She's a mess, y'all. Gotta love her. I gotta get her to a space where she can get herself a pet and build some character with her animal. Now I want to tell y'all about. I got to go back a little bit, but I still had Bootsy around this time when I got the first Rottweiler. I was married then, my first husband, and we decided that we needed to get a dog. And I told him, I said, I want a Rottweiler. They're so cute, the brown and black. I love the combination. You know, I love the way their mouths are made. I said, I want a Rottweiler. So he got me a Rottweiler. We called him Blunt because my husband used to smoke and he ate up all his blunts. You know, my husband used to buy his stuff and have it, you know, sitting on the table, and Blunt ate up the blunts, and that's how he got his name, Blunt. Well, Blunt was doing fine up until one Sunday. Our money was low. Not too much food in the fridge. But I had a chicken, made my Sunday meal. I always make Sunday meals. Cooked my chicken. And had all my food on the stove. So I took the chicken out the oven, put it on the stove. And I gotta laugh as I'm telling y'all this. This is so funny. So I told my husband, I said, come on, let's go to the store and get some soda. I said, no, I told him I was going to the store. So he said, I'll walk with you to the store. I said, okay. So we walk up the block to the store to go get a soda for dinner because we about to sit down. We had some, I believe I made macaroni and cheese, baked chicken, some cornbread, so we wanted some soda to go with the food. So we go up the block and go get the soda. We wasn't going long, y'all. Might have stopped, talked to a few people on the block because a lot of people knew who my husband was. Even though my husband wasn't from my area, he did meet a lot of my friends, and they would chat, talk with him, and whatever the case may be. They brought him in as like he was family, even though he wasn't from Cortland. Anyway, so we get back, and I'm making me and my husband's plate. Shaquana was at camp, I believe. Was she at camp? Or may have been at her family house or whatever the case. She wasn't there, though. And I go to make our plates. I said, I can't wait to taste this chicken breast because I love chicken breast, juicy chicken breast. Open up the aluminum foil and the whole chicken is gone. It wasn't a bone, nothing. He took the whole chicken. So now I'm looking for him through the house. And I'm like, because I knew it couldn't have been nothing else. He was the only thing in the house. But I told my husband, I said, listen, come here. Look at this. I said, the aluminum foil is just the way I had it, and I thought the chicken was still in there. I said, but the chicken is gone. The whole chicken. He said, the whole chicken. He ain't believe me. So he came in there, he looked, he said, hey, no chicken in there but juice. I said, I know. So we looking for Blunt. Blunt, we calling him. He hiding. Blunt, we call him. Blunt. He come out licking his lips. He done ate the whole chicken and the bones. And I told my husband, I said, this thing is a demon. I said, he got to go. He got to get out of here tomorrow. We ain't have no meat for dinner. Because the dog done ate all of me. He ain't save us nothing. He ain't take a chunk out. He ate the whole chicken. So Blunt had to go. That was the first Rottweiler. Then we got Kane. I didn't want no more dogs after Blunt. I was like really upset about what Blunt did. Now Bootsy, he going through all of this stuff. We got Kane. And when I got the white pit bull, he was the prettiest thing. They had gave him some gunpowder. And it really was making him really, really, really sick. They wanted him to be tough. and all that stuff. But, they don't realize that when you give dogs this stuff, it can really, really harm them. And poor Kane was so sick. I was like, why would y'all give him gunpowder? But anyway, poor Kane, all he had was diarrhea and throwing up all the time every time he ate food. So he wouldn't eat. And he had to flush his system and get that stuff up out of his system. It was like he was being poisoned, So he was so sick. I had a sickly stomach as well. And I was drinking Mylanta every day. Mylanta, drinking Ensure. So this is what I did for him in order to help him get better, and it helped him by me giving him the Mylanta, by me giving him Ensure, helping him continue to grow because he was a little thing. And it hurt me so bad, I couldn't really love him the way I wanted to because I had to work. So I wasn't there with him when he was going through all his issues. And I was afraid to take him to the doctor because they gave him gunpowder and I didn't want them to think I gave it to him. You know what I mean? So, you hurt the animals, you go to jail. You know what I mean? So I called my dad. My dad was from Long Island. And he always knew people that will take a dog, And I told him what the issue was. And he found a family for him out in Long Island, in Amityville. That, matter of fact, it was right next door to my uncle's house. So I was still able to see Kane. So he took him, and they took him to the hospital and did whatever they needed to do with him. And Kane did grow up to be a beautiful, beautiful dog, even though I wasn't able to keep him because I couldn't nurse him every day because I wasn't home. But, yeah, that's what happened to Kane. Oh, I loved Kane so much. He was the prettiest dog. I would just hold him all day. And I wanted to keep him, but he was so sick due to that gunpowder. And it just hurt me so bad. But he survived it, and he became a nice-built, pretty dog, And the people that took him in, he had him a yard. He went from, even though he had a yard where I lived at as well, but he came from the projects all the way to the suburbs, and I was so happy that he made it, and that's what we call making it, even for the pups, I'm going to talk about Shaquana's duck. I told you about that thing. Well, my friend, he had went and bought him a duck. She seen it, and she wanted a duck. So we go down to the store and we buy this duck at the pet store. And I'm going to have to make this a 2 podcast, y'all, because we got a lot of animals to go. I got to tell y'all about the snake. I got to tell y'all about the first iguana. I got to tell y'all about the second iguana. The other dog, the other blunt. I got to tell y'all about Neji. I got to tell y'all about Remington. So we still got a lot of pets to go. The duck. I didn't realize how fast ducks grow. Okay, I thought this thing was going to stay small for a little while. So I told my daughter, I said, where we going to put this duck? And we got to give him some water. So I would have to fill up the bathtub and put him in the water. I'm doing all of this in a house. Okay. Only in New York. So every day I would fill up the tub, let him take a bath, and dunk himself and do what he do. I was feeding him oatmeal and wheat tina, cream of wheat. And every day that I go in there, this duck was bigger. The duck name was Goldie because it was a golden type duck, like yellowish. And every time I go in there, he taller and taller. So now we had put him in my daughter's toy chest because I didn't know where to put him to sleep. So we put him in a toy chest so he'll be safe and won't get lost in the house. Well, next thing I know, he was big enough to step out of the toy chest. And I'm like, you got to be kidding me. Now, my daughter, she used to walk the duck, so he could use the bathroom outside or whatever the case may be and get his air. But she goes to camp. And she's like, Mommy, please take care of my duck while I go to camp. You promise you're going to take care of my duck? I'm like, yeah, all right. So she went to camp. First night, I get up, I got to walk the duck. Next night, I got to walk the duck. So here I am in the heart of the city, walking a duck through the projects, y'all. Only in New York. Here I come through, and this is before we got cane. This is when they gave me the dog because they wanted me to have a dog to walk through the projects instead of a duck. But anyway, so here I am walking this duck, and everybody just laughing. They like, oh my God, you walking a duck. I'm like, I gotta walk the duck. So yeah, that was a sight to see through Melrose Projects. And I wound up giving Goldie away. I'll never forget it. My daughter was pissed off with me when she came home. I was on the bus, and I was talking to one of the people on the bus, and I was saying, I got to go home and walk this duck. And the man was like, a duck? I said, yeah. I said, I'm getting sick of this duck. He said, you don't want it no more? I said, no, I don't want this duck. He was like, well, I'll come get it. I said, okay. So I gave my address and my telephone number, and he came that night to pick it up. He said, when I get off of work, I'll come get the duck. I said, okay. So my daughter came home. Goldie was gone because I gave Goldie away, and she cried. She was upset. But it's crazy because I talked to her about this duck recently because she would like to see the geese out here, and she was pissed off with me still for giving her duck away. She was like, Mommy, you gave my duck away. And this was like not 30 years ago, but like 20-some years ago, and she still remember that. And she's like, Mommy, you owe me a duck. And I'm like, you got to be kidding me. Well, you better come here to Charlotte because you got a bunch of them. So yeah, she's still pissed off at me about that. Who's next? We're going to talk about Doughty. This is the other Rockwaller. This is when I was living on Boston Road. I'm going to tell y'all about Doughty before this cut off, and then I'll go back and tell y'all about... No, you know what? I can't tell y'all about Doughty yet because we still got the snake and the other iguana to talk about before I move on to Doughty, because I was still living at home when we had the snake and we had the iguana. So I'll be back shortly. I'm going to tell y'all this part 2 of all the animals the Rodriguez and Doughty family had.